Hello everybody and welcome to this final learning video or revision video on artificial things. Now this video just looks at Dave's solo, the last section of the work. So what you will need is make sure you have your Artificial Things Anthologies workbook with you and also your revision guide to make reference to throughout this video. So we're going to go through the choreographic content, which will break down the movement, the structure, and the choreographic devices used. We're also going to go through the features of production. So I'll have a slide on the staging, the lighting, the costume, the dancers, and the oral setting. Okay, so Artificial Things, Section 7, Dave's solo. So Dave hand walks to the centre of the stage and the whole solo happens on the spot within one spotlight. Only at the end does he kind of leave that spotlight and go to the others. So let's just read that top bit in the dark blue. So the solo is full of hand gestures, facial expressions, and Dave also lip syncs. At the very end, Dave appears to forget the words to the song that he's lip syncing, and he looks over his shoulder to the group who are sitting at the vitrine. He joins the group for the final image. He then hand walks back over to the group. And that's reference to Dave's dad. So his whole solo is based on his relationship with his dad. His father it was a night singer and performed in a club. So his memories from his solo come from watching his dad as a singer, but also his dad passing away and his general experiences, his memories with his dad. So let's go through the action, space and dynamics. So first of all, when he gets into the spotlight, he pushes up onto his hands, and that's when the solo really begins. There's things like the drumming of the fingers that happened. There's a playing cards, where he's almost like dealing out cards. There's turning, there's shoulder rolls, there's sitting, and there's lots and lots of gestures. There's also the turns also kind of travel side to side and almost switch to a different kind of story about his dad. And the final look that I talked about, when he looks over to the rest of the group, that links to the idea of kind of coming to terms with life's kind of limitations, getting to a resolution, and he's kind of looking over to and finds support from his friends. In terms of dynamics, it's very gentle, it's very soft, it's very smooth, and this links to his personal experience with his dad. In terms of space, he is in a spotlight in centre stage. The movements are generally quite small, and there's a circular pathway. As he turns, he kind of loops round in circles, and he's normally facing kind of flat to the front or flat to the side. And linking to the choreographic intention being watched from afar, the rest of the group, like I said, are sitting on the stools over by the vitrine, watching over him. There's obviously no relationships to comment on because this is a solo section. Okay, in terms of choreographic content in the choreographic devices, so repetition, like I said, there's a lot of turns that he does, and this almost looks like a transition into kind of a new storyline about his dad. So I think the turn is repeated a lot of times to serve as like a transition to a new section. Motif and development, there's a sliding hand and arm gesture that kind of happens a couple of times. It's developed by changing direction, so I know for a fact he does it twice to the front on opposite arms, and then he also does it to the back with both arms. So remembering that this will link to the stimulus of his personal experience, so this is his story to tell. And like I said, the turns represent a transition into another part of Dave's story. Okay, just reminding yourself of the structure. So pause this slide and have a read if you need to go over it again. But we are looking at section 7, so Dave's solo. Okay, in terms of oral setting, so the song is called The Sunshine of Your Smile. So it's the old-fashioned love song, and that is the song that Dave's dad used to sing in the club when he was performing, and so that's why it was chosen. The quality is quite scratchy, it kind of adds that extra bit of age. It's very quite romantic and soft, but it's also powerful as the words come kind of out. And the song is made up with kind of orchestral sounds in the background. So how this contributes, so it provides a real contrast because this is the first song we hear with lyrics, so that's very different. Obviously links to the stimulus of Dave's personal experience because it is the exact song that his dad used to sing, so he is providing that storyline. Adding contrast, obviously, to the rest of the music creates a powerful and nostalgic and reflective mood. And the old-fashioned music and the lights create, again, that old-fashioned vibe of the fact that we're meant to be kind of visioning Dave's dad in this club. Okay, in terms of the set, so we have the vitrine. So a vitrine is like an old-fashioned kind of like ornaments case almost, and it's on its side and it's filled with snow. We also have the headless mannequin, and it's got a brown suit. It's got a brown suit on, and it's obviously a mannequin dressed in a brown suit. And then there are 3 brown stools in front of the vitrine, and then the headless mannequin is sitting on one of the stools. And then, of course, there is still the snow that is sprinkled all around on the floor in the stage, but the vitrine is also filled with snow, and it's kind of spilling out of that as the vitrine is on its side. So these directly link to the paintings because the headless mannequin vitrine are all in the paintings, and on the next slide I'll show you those images. And obviously the snow in the vitrine links us back to that idea of being trapped in our snow globe. The old kind of tired furniture suggests it's kind of beaten down. And the other dancers sit on the stalls and they watch Dave solo. So although Dave solo doesn't have any set in it really, they are watching from the side using the set. So here are the pictures. So if you look to the right, is all of they're the actual paintings by Goran. So if we can see there, the vitrine with the mannequins in, and then we can see the headless mannequin. So they are directly copied from those pictures. So that vitrine is just popped on its side, and then the headless mannequin is there. The bottom left picture is a picture from gliding where Dave is kind of observing them from afar. So you can see he's on top of the vitrine there, which is on his side. And then the top picture is the very last image of Dave solo when he walks back over. So we can see that all of the dancers are over there by the vitrine. So just a brief kind of anime version of this. So we can see the backdrop at the back, the wooden border, the grey floor, the vitrine on the side, the stalls and headless mannequin. The only thing we're missing, if you look closely you can see it, but there should be kind of snow scattered all across the floor. And the performance environment is a proscenium arch stage. Okay, in terms of use of dancers, so Dave is the soloist and the other 3 dancers are over by the vitrine. 2 of them are sitting on the stalls and Laura's in her chair. So how this contributes, so being viewed from afar, obviously it links to the choreographic intention, so Dave is being viewed. And then one dancer on their own, so it heightens this intensity, so we're all looking at this one person moving, so it creates a kind of intense atmosphere. In terms of lighting, so Dave enters into an intense deep blue wash. He has a central spotlight and it fades up. So as he reaches the spotlight, it gets brighter. And the rest of the dancers are kind of lit in that amber side light that we've seen before. So the dark blue wash again links to the stimulus of the personal experience, as we are kind of meant to be in this darker club to kind of view Dave's dad. It also links to life's limitations and resolutions, because at the very beginning of the piece, so when we study Dave and Laura's duet, it is a much colder, much whiter lighting, and then as we've worked our way through the piece, it's warmer now and it's a bit darker with that amber light as well. So the sense of resolution through the lighting, which of course is one of the choreographic intentions. And brighter spotlight brings attention to Dave, obviously. So he's the soloist, so he's the brightest. Okay, in terms of costume, so Dave's costume is a loose-fitting open neck short sleeve shirt with loose-fitting grey trousers and a black belt. Lots of detail there. The shirt has mainly green in it, with some blue as well. And as you can see from his solo, he actually is then wearing a brown suit jacket over the top. So let's get on to how this contributes. So of course, his shirt with the washing colours links to the paintings of Goran Djorovic, and links back to on the next point there, the costume matching set as well, the back cloth. The blue and light coloured costume links to the stimulus of being trapped in that snow globe by being kind of winter colours. Each dancer has a different costume, so he's directly highlighted by putting on that final suit jacket. And of course, that suit jacket is that old-fashioned, kind of traditional sense, something that his father definitely would have worn performing the song. Okay, everybody, so that is Artificial Things. That was been section 7 of Dave's solo. I've just noticed that I haven't put the timings on there, so apologies for that, that's my fault. I'm going to put the timings in underneath this video clip on YouTube, but like I said, it's the very last thing that happens. So if you go whiz yourself towards the end of the piece and just watch Dave's final solo, remember that you should be adding your own interpretations and your own important moments and descriptions.